Hello, we're back. Hi. Right then. In the time that I've been gone, hi Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo's having a sing-song here with me. He's just been having a chat. Got some complaints apparently. What's the matter, Scoob? What's the matter? Oh, I'm all caught up in things. Hang on. Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo. Hello, Scooby-Doo. Ooh, excuse the mess in the background. Ooh. Tell me about it. You're going to sing? You're going to sing? Sing for people. Sing for everybody. Say hello. Ooh. Hello. Hello, my little love. You going to give me a kissy? No, not giving a kissy. We don't do kissies. We're not that kind of a boy. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. There you go. That's his signature tune. Miss Maddie's down under there somewhere. You can't even see her. She's hiding under the desk because I've got my furry slippers on, so she's curled up around my feet. In the time I've been gone, we have upgraded from Virgin Media's Super Hub, which a friend of mine just said, yeah, I think they name it ironically in the same way that Bachelors makes things called super noodles. They're not really that super. I've been hobbling along with 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. I was struggling so badly. It was awful. I was lucky if I got 1.8 out of it. I am now getting 5.2 on my Wi-Fi, 5 megahertz Wi-Fi, and currently we are on Ethernet. I've plugged the wires in and I am streaming. Get this. Earlier I was streaming at 1.4. I am now streaming at 6.13. It's like 5 times faster. Now, obviously when I'm streaming, that won't necessarily affect you very much, except that it won't keep dropping out, hopefully. When I'm streaming, it relies on how fast your internet is, how fast you can pick it up, obviously. But it shouldn't keep dropping out now. And I can already tell from the quality of my screen that the recording is going to be amazing. It's going to be HD. Oh! So hopefully we has the power, we has the technology. So I'm hoping that I'm not going to be seeing any blackouts or, oh, your stream's a bit not quite working right at the moment. Messages from YouTube. Hopefully it will work nicely for the duration. And my lag has gone. Okay, let's get cracking. If you didn't come for part 1 and 2, what we did was... Oh, and can I just say, I've got 5 megahertz Wi-Fi on my phone. Oh yeah, it's so blisteringly fast. Oh dear. I just uploaded a photo to YouTube and it didn't take 25 minutes. Okay, this is what we were doing earlier. So this is the reference. No, that's not what I was looking for. This is the reference picture. Okay, they're the wrong way round. That's the left and that's the right. I put the reference picture on the event earlier, event 1, so that if you wanted to copy the reference picture, you can. Then, I'm just skipping some internet security stuff I've got on here from setting up my router. In section 1, I drew it. So I put this up, the colouring section, just the line work, so that if you wanted to paint it and you hadn't finished your drawing, you could paint it along with me even if you hadn't caught up yet. And then I painted mine, as you can see. This is where we're up to now. I used acrylic washes, which I've not done before, and it came out surprisingly well. I've put this up on event 2 so that if you wanted to print it out with the colour in the background and colour over it with your colour pencils, obviously it's not going to work the same as what I'm doing, but you'll have the colour to guide you and have a play with your colour pencils. Even if you haven't finished yours, you can print this out and have a go. And if you weren't here earlier, you can print this out and have a go. Or you can print the colouring pages and do it without the coloured background, just in pencil, whatever you would like. They are on my page, rhomany.org, no, facebook.com/Romany's Realm. Let me put that into chat. Facebook.com Romany's Realm. Whoops. Go into accounts. And not accounts. I've got accounts on the brain. Oh. Go into events and you'll be able to access those pictures on the previous streams. So let's get cracking. This is my set of pencils. Now, I've got 4 sets of pencils. I've got my Crayolas, which I don't have here. I keep those in my room so that I've always got a set of colour pencils. So when I'm colouring at night, I don't have to keep moving these in and out of work area to bed and back again. It gets really annoying. So I've just got a 36 set of Beryl, sorry, not Crayola, Beryl. They're the same company. Beryl colour pencils in my room. I also use Prismacolors. Now I like Prismacolors, but I have a very, very old set. You can see mine are before they started being made in Mexico, when they still belonged to Beryl Sanford, which sounds like an old lady, but Beryl, Sanford, Crayola, Prismacolor, it's all the same company. It's all brother and sisters. These are the old ones. I have some new ones, like this one, and as you can see from the fact that this is a a Premiere, and as you can see from the fact that it's sharpened at both ends and doesn't have a pencil on either end, a lead on either end, you can see it just keeps breaking off. It's the most annoying thing in the world. I was wondering why everybody kept going on about how Prismacolors break all the time. You can't sharpen them. And I was like, well, mine are fine. What's up with you lot? I've got the old version. The ones made in Mexico are absolutely awful. The leads aren't centred. The leads are broken all the way through. And don't tell me about putting it in the microwave. You can't put them in the microwave properly because this is metallic. You risk damaging your microwave severely if you put these in the microwave. Just because you've put them in the microwave and it's worked doesn't mean it's okay. Doesn't mean it's not dangerous. That's like saying, oh, well, I drove at 100 miles an hour up the motorway and I didn't have a car accident. That doesn't mean it's not dangerous, okay? You could set off a fire very easily. Anyway, yeah, this wood is really brittle. It's cracked. I don't know if you can see that, but it is cracked all the way along. Whereas these sharpen beautifully, these old ones. Fortunately, the colours that I really liked, I bought a 10-pack of way back. So my grade lavender, I've got another 2 of these before I run out of the old style. So I've got those Prismacolors. I also use Faber-Castell, the Polychromos. these are harder. They're bonded lead, which means that the lead in the middle is actually stuck to the wood. Whereas with Prismacolor, if you got something hard and you pushed the lead at the bottom, it would come out. That's why it just breaks off and the lead pulls out, because it's not bonded to the wood. These are bonded to the wood. And there's a fascinating programme on, I think it's Derwent, that is about their pencils, but they have bonded and unbonded pencils, and it talks about the whole process. It shows how all pencils are made, or how their pencils are made anyway. Obviously it's going to vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, but it shows you how bonded and unbonded pencils are made and what the differences are and all that kind of stuff. It's fascinating. The Faber-Castell Polychromos are hard. They are oil-based, so you don't get wax bloom, but they don't smoosh together as well, and they're not as soft. These are much harder. I like these for detailed work because the leads just, they don't blunt quite as fast. Prismacolors, 3 strokes and they've gone. Whereas the Polychromos, even if the lead breaks inside the pencil, it won't come out until the next time you sharpen it. It's fantastic. I love it. So I've got the full set of Polychromos now because I bought it in groups. I've also got the remnants of, and I've got a black, a blue and a brown somewhere, and a white. These are the remnants of my very, 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 very old Caran d'Ache pencils from when I was at high school. Like, I don't think they even make these anymore. They're before they even had a name. Like now they've got the Lumieres, is it? And about 6 other ones. This is when all you could get was a basic tin of 24. And this is all that's left now. But these are neon. Like all the Neo colours, these are neon. So it's really handy to have those there. I've also got, although I don't think they're in here, oh there's one of them, I've got the white, the black, the brown of the Stabilo Aquarellable, sorry, from Schwann. And as you can see, because they've actually got the old Schwann logo on, not just Stabilo, you can see this is a pretty old one. Again, I bought a pack of 10, and this is my last one. This is it. I'll have to try the new ones and see if they work. But the black and the brown work fine. I haven't tried other colours. I never really got to grips with the other colours in these. I always preferred my Crayolas. But I do tend to buy a black, a brown and a white in all colour pencils that I try. That's the first 3 colours that I use, because that will tell you a lot about colour pencils in general. And I also have, I don't normally have these in here. They're normally in another box, but somewhere, I might have taken them out. Hang on a minute. Ah, there we go. I usually have a couple of these floating around. These are Conti pencils. These are pastel pencils. A little bit chunkier, quite hard, but smooshable. And you can get some lovely shading with these, especially over Prismacolors, because the pastel adheres to the wax. You know, when you press, if you use Prismacolors, you'll know what I mean. When you press it, it kind of feels a bit sticky, like there's something holding your finger. But it's not sticky, but it kind of feels like there could be. That's the wax. Well, if you use the pastels over the wax of a Prismacolor, the wax will adhere the pastel to the page better, so you'll get much more vibrant colours. But I'm not using those today. I'm not using pastels today. I'm just using my colour pencils. So that is the answer to what colour pencils are you using, because I know somebody will ask somewhere. This is my Kipling box with all the ones that I use all the time. So this is my most used ones, apart from black and white. And as you can see, I'm primarily portraits, all my skin tones, with a few bright colours, which is pretty typical for me. Then I've also got in here, I've got all my dual tone colours, which I really like. that's kind of a seasonal thing. I got back into dual tone colours when the weather changed. Before that it was like summery colours, and now it's autumnal type, wintry colours. It's a bit like changing your handbag. And obviously because of the nature of what we're doing a still life instead of a portrait, I've also pulled out my box of other colours that I've got. There are a lot of duplicates in here because I buy 2 or 3 of the same pencil at the same time, and I've got a lot of my old Prismacolor colours. Like this one, this is chestnut. I don't use it all the time, but if I'm going to do blonde hair, this is one of the first ones I'll go to. But I very rarely draw blonde hair. I usually go for a different colour. But we might need some of these, especially the oranges and yellows, further on down the road. So I've got those there. I'm going to start by... I've run out of one side to put things on. Hang on. Okay. So here's my book. I've got it on a slope, so it's not actually straight onto you. If I put it straight on, you can't really see what I'm doing, it whites out, but on the slope it works really well. You kind of get a shadow against the light. So, you've got a few Prismacolors that have split. Yeah, it seems to be the wood. The wood splits right the way up, and then that causes the lead to move about inside the pencil because it's not held tight anymore. And I think that's what causes the breaking, because it can wiggle about. Obviously, when you sharpen it, it allows the lead to move. Because they're wax pencils, they shouldn't break just from like dropping or anything like that. Wax pencils of that grade, they just don't do that. You're looking at kids' brittle pencils that drop, that break when they're dropped. Where should we start? Let's start with the crystal ball. Now that's going to be a little bit tricky because it's glass, but it's a dark colour. It doesn't really matter if it's not completely if it doesn't completely look like glass, because it's a dark colour. Whoops! 1 second, that's my doorbell. Get back. Oh, okay. Who forgot to remind me it was Halloween? We've actually got trick-or-treaters going round. So that's me not answering the door again. Oh, okay. Where was I? The crystal ball, yeah. Because it's dark colour, it doesn't matter so much that it's not going to have the right... you're not going to see through it because it's a dark glass. This is what I'm trying to say. If it was a clear glass, I'd have to futzy about with the distortion of this behind it, but I don't. So I'm going to take a light mauve. I've got I've got 3 different mauves and an indigo blue. And the reason I'm starting with this is because this is the basic shading exercise. I'm taking my light source from over here, it's just easy to do that. So I did mark in that there is going to be my highlight. And basically, you want your 3 main colours, 1, 2 and 3. And then you've got white, and I'm using indigo blue as the darkest dark and the lightest light and the reflection. So I'm going to start by colouring the whole thing in the lightest colour. And yes, I'm ignoring the white for now. I'm just going to put a layer of the lightest colour all over. This feels slightly strange. It's a bit toothier than I'm used to, because I usually use watercolour. This is acrylic wash, and it's a bit, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's kind of plasticky, I suppose, is how I would describe it. It does feel a little bit plasticky, but it would, because it's plastic. So a basic layer of mauve, and then I'm going to look at my violet. I need a pencil extender. No, I need to find my pencil extender. So I'm going to just put in the band again there. And I'm going to put in the band of mauve, but you don't, I'm only putting the band in for your sake. Normally I wouldn't bother. It's just so that you can see where I'm colouring. And what you want to do is go over that band on both sides, and I'll show you why in a second. The second layer in the middle. If I was working on a professional piece or like a commission or something, I would work a lot more carefully than this. I would be a lot slower and I would blend a lot more, but you know, it's only my book of shadows kind of thing. That doesn't mean that it's not worth anything just because it's, you know, it's not for sale or something. It's just, I would rather get lots of reasonably good quality stuff than not an awful lot of absolutely perfect stuff done, if that makes sense. I would much prefer to be able to get this done and then, you know, later tonight be able to get another page done, as opposed to spending hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and days and days and days and days on this like I would with a commission. If I was doing a commission, this would have taken me a week. I really like the composition of it. I may actually do it as a full art piece, actually, on bigger paper. Do it on proper watercolour paper. Now I'm using the darker colour here, and I'm bringing the darker colour up over that little bit of jagged edge. Okay? So what you end up with is this, and kind of overlapping and skipping, rather than this. You don't want your blending to look like that. You want it to mix together and overlap. Okay, and that's what I'm doing here. So you get a nice smooth transition from light to dark. So if I draw it here for you, see, I can't draw a circle to save my life. That'll do. Here's your 3 bands. So this is where the light's coming down. So this will be light, because it's facing the light. This will be medium, because it's kind of not facing the light but not turned away from the light. And this will be dark because it's turned away from the light. But you won't have flat edges there because a circle is oval. So in here you'll have a band of medium, medium light, and in here you'll have a band of light, light, medium, and in here you'll have a band of medium, 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 medium light, and in there you'll have a band of medium, 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 light, light. Okay, so it kind of gets gradually darker as you go down. So it starts off light, and it gets darker, 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 until you get down to the bottom here when it's really dark. And you do that by achieving layers like that. And when you get practiced at it, you don't have the lines going across. You just have a graduated, that's the word I'm looking for, slope. So that's what we're trying to achieve. So it's not just, is watercolour paper the best all-rounder paper to go to? No, not necessarily. I use watercolour paper for its archival properties when I'm doing commissions. If you're doing a piece of artwork to put on your wall, you want to use the best materials you can. So you want to use good quality watercolour paper, good quality watercolour paints, good quality pencils. As long as they're all, they could all be student grade, that'll be fine. They could all be artist grade, they could all be professional grade. It doesn't matter as long as they're at the same level. But if you do it, even the best artist could do a good picture with really crappy bargain basement materials. But that paper will disintegrate. That colour will fade. It might be not be light fast. It might disintegrate. It might yellow, If you're going to make a piece of art that somebody's going to buy, then you want it to have longevity. Excuse me. So you don't want to be using bargain basement materials because you don't want them coming back to you in 12 months and saying, hey, I hung your picture on my wall and it's faded, look. Or, oh, the paper's gone yellow. But in a book, honestly, as long as it's not really cheap, crappy paper, it doesn't matter. School brand paper, by the way, like Mead composition books, yes, it's cheap and cheerful, but it's not cheap, crappy paper. It's reasonably good archival paper because students have to use reasonably good archival materials. It has to have longevity. This paper is Japanese paper, and Japanese paper is nearly always acid-free, so that's going to have longevity. So it won't yellow over time as much as cheap, crappy paper would. But in a book, it doesn't really matter, because unless you're going to have your book out on display all the time, or going to be leafing through it every day for the next 10 years, it's not going to get light on it that much. It's going to be protected because it's inside a book. So you don't really need to, if you're working on journals, you don't need to buy a watercolour paper. And even if you do buy watercolour paper because that's what you prefer, you don't need to buy like Fabriano hot press pro grade stuff. A basic pack of cheap watercolour paper will do you if you want to make your own book or something. So all I'm doing here is just adding more and more layers to blend the colours down so that it gets gradually darker. So yeah, the best paper, it depends on what you're doing. For me, it's less important in my journal that it's good quality thick paper that's going to stand the test of time. That's what archivists are for. Yes, my seer that you had, that should not ever go yellow. It should never fade unless you put it in direct sunlight. And I believe it says on the back, do not put it in direct sunlight. Because it was made with really good quality artist's grade materials on really good quality watercolour paper with archival properties. So, when you hand that down to your kids, it should still be in really good condition. It will age, obviously, paper ages, but it will age gracefully. It won't turn up one day looking like it had one too many cigarettes and a bottle of gin. That's good. Not having it in the sunshine is good. That will preserve its light fastness and it will keep the colours vivid. I mean, I used light fast materials anyway, but if you put light fast materials in strong sunshine, they're still going to fade over time. the worst that could possibly happen is that if she wasn't under glass, her bindi on her head might fall off, because it was, you know, glue does come unstuck over time. But that is the worst that could possibly happen to it, as long as it's looked after properly. So I'm just keeping going with this, blending more and more colour down. And I'm being very light with these pencils. If you press hard with Prismacolors, you won't be able to keep layering them, because you'll get wax bloom and it will go all shiny, and you'll get to the point where you can't add any more layers. Now, once you get to that point, that means you can't blend them anymore, you can't add another layer, you can't make anything darker, and it will just get nasty to work with. However, once you get to the point where that no longer works, one, two, oh, where did my lavender go? Sorry about the noise, I'm trying to find my lavender pencil. Lavender, where are you? Oh, don't flip off the lavender. No, I like that one. Oh, okay. Oh, actually, I might not need it, because I'm going to darken up the middle and the ends, so I might not need it, because that hasn't got as much layers on. Now, when I look at this in the light, I can see, I don't think it'll show up on camera. No. This bit has only got like one layer of pencil. This bit has got 2 or 3 layers of the same pencil. This bit has got 2 or 3 layers of that pencil, plus a layer of the next pencil. And then this one's got that plus another layer, and plus another layer, plus another layer. So down here, I've got wax bloom, because it's got like 7 layers of pencil there. It's just not going to take anymore. Whereas up here, I can still feel the paint through the pencil. Okay? Down here, it feels really smooth. You can hold it up to the light and see it, or you can just run your finger over it and you can feel it. This is kind of slightly rough, and this is completely smooth. So this, I can still add more Prismacolor to this, because I've only put a couple of layers on. But once you get to the point where you can't add any more with your Prismacolors, what I've discovered is that you can go in with your oil-based Faber-Castell pencils, and these are in comparable shades. And no, I didn't find my glasses, so I'm kind of working on this blind. You can go in with your Faber-Castells over the top, and it will cover over the wax bloom, because the oil will adhere to the wax. And once you've got that layer on, there is no limit to the amount of layers you can use with Faber-Castells. I love these Polychromos pencils, I have to say. If you're going to invest in a really good brand of pencil, I would say get the Prismacolors in the blending colours. So maybe a light and dark flesh tone if you like doing portraits, and the basic black, white and brown. And then if you're going to get a set of colours, I would get the Polychromos. Because honestly, can you see how much darker this is getting just by adding layers of the Faber-Castell over the top? And yet I couldn't add any more of the Prismacolors. And I'm not pressing any harder, I'm just adding more layers. And because they're oil-based, there's just no limit to the amount you can do with them, the amount of layers you can add. And instead of colouring in a straight line, it's tempting to colour in a straight line like that when you're colouring in. I'm actually working in circular motions. That's exaggerated, but that's kind of what I'm doing. because it's an oval shape. So if I keep my lines curved, it doesn't matter that the curve might be going the wrong way. As long as it's not straight, it won't distract the eye. You won't be sitting there going, hey, hang on a minute, that doesn't look right, mate. Okay, so that's darkened that edge up. And now I'm going to get my Prismacolor. Hi, love bug. Happy Halloween. Now I'm going to get my Prismacolor. I'm going to work back into that Faber-Castell to work the light tone into the medium. And then I'm going to darken up this bit here just so it balances up to the top there. And then I'm going to leave that as white. I'm just going to do the edge like that. Okay, so can you see now it looks more rounded? Now what I'm going to do is with my black, not black, indigo blue, not on the edge of the colour, but just inside the edge of the colour. Let me explain that. If that's the curve, okay, and you've got all this coloured, you're not outlining the edge here. Wax pencils on wax-proof paper. That's not a sensible idea, is it? You're not lining the edge like this. You're coming in just inside the edge here. Because what you want is the reflected light. Because this section here will have reflected light from down here. Even though it's a dark tablecloth, it will still have some reflected light, especially with it being a glass ball, because the glass ball, the light will come through and then it will reflect back. So there's actually going to be a highlight down here as well, where the glass is coming through. If you want a really good tutorial on doing glass, go and check out Leonard Pereznitzo. I'll have to find his link and put it in. I'll put it in the down bar later. I can't remember what his channel is called. Fine Art Techniques or Fine Art Tips, something like that. I don't know. He's amazing. He does everything so realistically, it's unbelievable. So now I'm going back in with my Polychromos to get this indigo blended in, because I can't go back over with another Prismacolor. It just won't blend. There's too much wax in that section. But I can blend out the wax with an oil pencil and blend it into this colour because it will automatically smudge. See? Like so. Very fitting for the day. Yeah, it's well, this is my Book of Shadows. So this is my Samhain entry page. I'm going to start my Book of Shadows and work through the Wheel of the Year. And then I've got some information that's going in this section. But I wanted to do a nice page, and I thought it'd be fun for Fine Art Tips. Thank you, Claire. Yeah, you watch him too, don't you? He's fantastic. He's just incredible. And he makes it look so easy. He's like, oh yes, so to draw this, all you do is you do this, and you do this, and then you colour this bit in, and then you colour that bit in, and then you add a little bit of blue here, and ta-da! And you're like, it looks like a photograph, dude. How did you do that? But what I love about him is if you copy his technique, and you copy what he does, it works. And you'll have it, and you're like, crikey, I didn't know I could draw like that. He is absolutely phenomenal. As a professional artist, I mean, I'm not the best artist in the world. You can always improve. I'm sure he still improves every day. But I just love it when I find an artist that I can learn from. Because I watch one of his videos and they're like 3 minutes long and I get 20 minutes worth of tuition and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know you could do this. Yes, he does a video on crystal balls, doesn't he? And it's amazing. He's even got the light coming down. Oh, fantastic. In fact, I'll probably go and watch his video to look up again how to get the light coming down and reflecting onto the table. So there's going to be a little bit of reflected light underneath this dark bit here, so I'm just going to run in with the white. The only exception to wax bloom is white will go over everything. So I'm going to put a little bit of white in there just to give it a little bit of contrast, and then I'm going to go over this bit with a little bit of white where the light will automatically be lighter because it's hitting the surface. And then you can see that's my area where I was going to put in a highlight, so I'll just add that in there. And it's just enough to give it a bit more of a rounded look. Now I don't think that white at the bottom is quite enough, so I'm going to find my Faber-Castell white. There she is. I'm going to come back into this with a little bit of Faber-Castell white, and if it's, you know, when I get to the end of the drawing, if it's still not good enough, I might get a little bit of white acrylic and just do a little. Oh, he does a Christmas bauble as well. I'll have to check that one out. Yeah, I might come back in with a little bit of a tiny bit of white acrylic just to add some real highlighted dots. It won't be like all over, just a few little light reflections. You remove colour with an eraser to get light reflections. Yeah, I do that sometimes, but honestly I prefer just adding the highlights with white. That's why I like the white Prismacolors, because you can add them over just about any colour. Even black, you can put white over the top, and it will still look fairly white. It won't just go grey. Unless you blend it, of course. If you blend it, then of course it's going to go grey, but you should be able to write over the top of the black fairly easily with it. Okay, so I think let's not have a black stand. Black's lovely, but it's a bit boring to do everything black. I'm just going to grab a brown, and I'm just going to do exactly the same, but around that way. And the crystal ball is casting a shadow here, so that will be darker there. And then round here it's got a little bit of light, so that will be a bit lighter. And then this bit, it'll actually have a bit of shine. Unless it's a wooden stand, obviously, and then it might not have shine to it, but so this one I'm doing, instead of using 3 different shades, because it's a solid colour, I'm just using one pencil to do all the shading and just making it darker on one side. Oh, my eyes are starting to go blurry. I wish I could find my glasses. No idea where they are. I'm going to have to go on a hunt. Now here we have 2 surfaces touching each other, so we're going to have what I call a contact shadow. If you put your fingers together, it's the easiest way to see it. You have the gradient shadow of this turning away from the light, this turning away from the light, but then you have the black line, dark line down the middle, where 2 surfaces are touching each other. That's a contact shadow. You get 2 surfaces close together like that, they cast a shadow on each other. Okay, let me find a brown in the polychromos. Oh, there's a lighter brown. I'll just add a little bit of light on this, because the white will be too much contrast, but a light brown will just give it a little bit of zing there. And I'm going to find a better way to store my pencils. It's like when you're a kid raking through the Lego box, isn't it? Used to drive my mum insane, that did. So I'm just going to darken up the contact shadow, like so. And the very edge of this, where it's turning right away from the light. This is not just away from the light, it's in shadow of the ball as well. So it's dark, dark, dark over here. But again, it's a rounded surface, so it won't be a flat line. But it will have a more defined edge than on that side. And then I'm just going to do the same on the bottom where it touches the table. Again, it's going to have a sharp, sharp line there. At least to about 3/4 of the way. And then this bit might be a little bit less defined because it's got a bit of light sneaking round onto it. But this bit will be dark, 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 flat, stark, high contrast. Like that. I know the lights are blowing it out a little bit, but the Lego roof tiles. No, the worst one was when you needed the really flat pieces and just a 1 or a 2. We had ours in a separate box because you could never find them until you were walking through the lounge barefoot, and then there they were. Dad could always find them. Okay, so to finish this off, this ball, because as you can see it's 10:2, there's no way we're going to finish this whole page. I colour slowly with pencils because I find it relaxing. But I'm just going to find... Actually, I'm not going to use my acrylic. Acrylic's going to be a little bit too harsh for now. I might want to up it later. But what I'll do instead is use my portfolio pastels just to add a line. Now with these, because they get dirty, so if you're going to use your white, take the other colours off here first. Especially if you want to use it as a highlight. If you're not using it as a highlight, you can blend them out quite easily, but a nice clean white edge. I'm going to put a white highlight there, and a couple of little bits of highlight that way, blend it in. It just enhances that curve a little bit more. Again, it might not be picking up on camera because of the lighting, but oh no, it is. Can you see that now? You've got a reflection. It looks like it's reflecting something back. That's what I was trying to achieve with the pencil, but it just wasn't having it. Now, by the time I finish the rest of the page, it might be that actually it's it's not dark enough and not light enough. It might be fading into the background, so I might have to add a bit more highlight. But I will leave that to the end. I can't judge that. You can't judge high contrast and low contrast until you've done the rest of the piece. I'm sorry, I've got a fly around my head. You can't judge high contrast and low contrast until you've got the rest of the colour in. So I don't do stark highlights or deepest darks until I'm done with the rest of it. So I'm going to do this green candle now. Now this it's vertical and it's round that way, so it's a cylinder, but it's in the shadow of the skull, so there won't be any cast light on it this way. However, there's a candle here that is going to be casting light up that way. So this side of it is actually going to be lighter, just very slightly, just a little bit, than the rest of it. And don't forget, wax is semi-opaque. Remember what we were talking about before, where we talked about there's opaque, there's semi-opaque, there's semi-transparent, and then there's transparent. Transparent and semi-opaque are not the same thing. Semi-opaque means you can't see through it, but you can see like light and shadow, and if you went like that, you know how with a china saucer, a proper china saucer, you can hold it up to the light and do that, and you can see your hand through it. But you can't see your hand, you can just see the shape of a hand. Whereas semi-transparent would be something like frosted glass. So you can see the colours, you can see the hand, you can tell it's a hand. You can tell that it's a white person's hand, for instance. You could tell if it had nail varnish on and what colour the nail varnish is. That's semi-transparent. Semi-transparent, you can see colour. Semi-opaque, you can only see light and dark. Opaque, you can't see anything. Transparent, you can see everything. But if it's coloured transparent, like coloured glass, obviously the colours are going to be off. So you'll see the colour filtered. That's getting a bit complicated though. So we're just going to have a section on this section here, where it's just catching the light and the candle is kind of glowing through. So it's not a hard reflection like this on a hard piece. It's just a glow that's happening. And of course, what I didn't take into account when I did this is that that candle will have an effect on that as well. So what I need to do is find a yellow colour. And that will be around here somewhere. Now the yellow and the purple are blending together to create kind of an orangey effect. That's okay. Why? Because it will do, it's glass. It will filter. It's not going to be a stark white reflection, it's going to be a yellow reflection. And that's going to go straight through the glass, and you're going to get an equal reflection on this side. So you're going to get just a smidge of yellow coming through that side. Okay, so now we've got two light sources on the same globe. One's white and one's yellow. I may even put a little bit lighter yellow in there, just to give it a highlight in one section, like that. And again, I'm not pressing hard in any way. What you should find though is that, I don't know if you can tell from that, but can you see the circle where I've coloured it? The bubbly bit where it's wet, that bit has now gone smooth. It's like you're flattening out the wibbliness. I know what I mean. You're pressing your paper flat. Right, let's do... I don't want to do that geode. Oh yes, I do want to do that geode. Oh no, I do. Because that was part of the point of doing this. I want to play with my spooky colours. Where are my spooky colours? What did I do with them? Where are my spooky colours? My spooky colours. Do-do-do-do. Ah, there they are. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Exactly. Exactly. I'm going to get my sparkly colours. Oops. My sparkly colours. Here's my sparkly purple. And I've got a sparkly holographic white. And instead of trying to colour that geode, and I'm also going to need my main white as well, actually, I think. Instead of trying to colour that geode in colour pencil, okay, because that's not going to happen, is it? I'm going to put in the dark purple line. Because there is if you look up geodes, you'll see that they've got very precise lines, almost like tree rings around them. Okay, so I'm going to put in the precise line. Then I'm going to put in the shadow around the edge because it's facing away from the light, so only this top edge will catch the light. And it might even be a little bit darker in this corner, but not by much because this part is actually white. There's going to be some darkness in here, so I'll just fill this in dark, just because that is darker. I'm going to have a section in the middle that is even darker because it does go back, like so. So we're starting to get some depth. It looks like it goes in. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, get a thinner brush, and with my white acrylic, I'm going to go in and just, this white acrylic doesn't mix very well. Might have to get a cocktail stick out. What I'm finding is that the lighter the colour, the less they mix together when they're shaken. Might have to get a cocktail stick to some of them. Obviously it's not so difficult if they're in the containers because you've got more leeway, but in these they're quite full, so you don't really have a lot of mixing room. It might need you can put a stainless steel, must be stainless steel, it can't be anything that will rust, it has to be stainless steel. You could put a stainless steel ball bearing in there, in the bottom, and that will help mix the paint up, just like you would with a nail polish that's gone gloopy. So I'm just going to paint in just a little bit. I don't want it stark white, I want the mauve to show through because it's kind of translucent. It's almost like it's got white light showing from behind the mauve crystal. So it's almost just like adding a bit of light source from behind the crystal, almost. As if it's got a light bulb inside it. It's hard to describe, but look at a geode. Look up an amethyst geode and you'll know what I'm talking about, okay? So there's the white bit. And now what we can do, which is very exciting, we get to play with glitter paint. Yay! So that's navy and that's pink, but I think the navy is more, the navy has got purple in it and turquoise. So I think the navy is more the colour we want than the pink. I think the pink is too red, whereas this is going to look more purpley over the, because it's in a clear base. So we're going to play with glitter, we're going to play with glitter, we're going to play with glitter, do 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 do. Don't you just love playing with glitter? I love glitter. Glitter's awesome. You could cake paint in the fridge like nail polish, but why would you want to? That is one of the things I'm going to find out, whether I can mix the glitter paints with the regular colours and get two colours or another colour or whatever. But I'm not doing that on this picture. It's possible I could mix the purple and the blue, or the pink and the blue, but this is more the colour I want anyway. It's also possible that with the iridescent I could put white and holographic together and make white holographic. I haven't tried that yet. That's something I'm going to play with. Oh, to stop the paint thickening. Well, paint doesn't really thicken unless you get it, leave the lid off. The only reason things like mascara and nail varnish thicken is because you're constantly, through a very thin hole, putting a brush in that pumps in air and taking it out, and then leaving it exposed, and pumping in air and taking it out and leaving it exposed. If you notice with all my paints, except with this one, because it's very watery anyway, it wouldn't matter if it thickened up, it would be a bonus. With all my regular acrylics, I put the paint out first and then I close it. I don't just leave them sitting open. But with acrylic, it will only dry on the top. You'll just get a layer of solid paint on the top. You can peel that off and you'll have fresh paint underneath. Nail varnish doesn't do that. It cures. The only way your paint will dry all the way through is if it's in a thin layer. If it's in a bottle, you'll just get a film on the top. Okay, let's... Oh, this is pretty. Can you see it? Let me... Hang on. Hang on. Like custard, exactly like custard, yes. Because it's bio type stuff. If it goes on you or in you, then it's not going to be made of plastic by and large. Ordinary nail varnish is not made of plastic. Gel is, but let me see if I can just... Sorry if this makes you a bit seasick. It's the only way I can do close-ups. There. I'll try and hold it steady. Let me see if it's better. Is it better if I shadow it? Oops. Whoa. There we go. It's upside down, but in the shadow you can see it a bit better. I've just got to try and hold it still while I do this now. It's not as easy as it looks. Okay, I need to get my... I've got to get my my little... Sorry if this is making you seasick. Stop looking for a minute. There you go. I've got to get my little tripod out. I've got a little mini tripod. Isn't it awesome? Because it's transparent with little flecks of amethyst and blue and white and turquoise, over the purple it's actually gone purple. It actually looks like amethyst. Isn't that fab? Isn't it beautiful? I love that. Let's come back a bit so you can see the full effect. Isn't that pretty? It actually does look like a geode. Oh, I'm liking these glitter paints, I tell you. Scooby's having a sing-song. What are you sing-songing about, Scoob? Oh, you can see it a bit better now. It's on properly. Put the lid on this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I like these. I've got a Christmas set as well. Imagine what I could do with that. Maybe you can do a glittery snow globe or something. Oof. I like these. So these are the deco art. They're called Twinkles. Crafty Twinkles. And this is the Spooky Sparkles collection, which is, there's black with lime green, dark blue and turquoise, and a bit of silver. There's the blue, which I've just used, which is blue, dark blue, purple, turquoise and silver. There's this iridescent green, which is like lime green and dark green and a bit of gold. There's orange, which has got gold and silver in it. There's pink, which has got silver and turquoise in it. And then there's a holographic one. And then the Christmas set has got the same green and the same holographic, but it's got red, silver, gold and black. Red, silver, gold and... green, red, holographic, gold, silver. Oh, and evergreen. So this is a dark green with silver and lime in it, whereas this is a lime green with silver and gold in it. I think Scoob wants a wee. Do you want a wee, Scoob? No. What do you want? Show Mummy. What's the matter, Scooby-Doo? Scooby-Dooby-Doo, show Mummy what you want. Where is he? What are you doing? What's the matter? Are you just having a sing-song, are you? Are you just having a sing-song? Mummy's nearly finished. Yes. Mummy's so evil and naughty. She's been ignoring you all day. For a whole 4 hours and then another hour now. It's just terrible, isn't it? You've only been to the park twice. It's awful. I know. We went round, we went across the park earlier and they were doing treat or treating. It's where they get all the kids to go out in their trick or treat costumes, but if you've got a dog, you take the dogs. And instead of the kids getting candy, the dogs get treats. And it's called treat or treating. It's cute. Okay, where else can we use this glitter paint? I want to use more glitter paint. Where can I use glitter paint? I want to use that white holographic and see if the white holographic picks up. Where can I do that? That was very Jack Sparrow, wasn't it? Where can I do that? Oh, sod it, I'll just do it on a bit of paper. I just want to see if they mix. I really want to see if they mix with the white to make white holographic, or if the white, because this is opaque, if it colours this over, and that's maybe why it's in a transparent base. So let's have a look. I've got some coloured paper here. I'm going to make sure I don't put it down on that. Okay. Let us see. So it's glossy paper, so it won't dry straight away. So I should be able to mix it on the paper because it won't absorb. Oh, that's gone a bit gloopy. It needs more mixing, but never mind. If you're completely crazy about holographic paint, let's put that away before I spill it everywhere. If you're completely crazy about holographic paint and you're in the UK, Wilko's do one. Like a huge bottle of holographic paint. And it's water-based. And it's just like this, but it's water-based. It's a watercolour paint, not a acrylic paint. Yeah, this needs mixing properly. It's always the way, lighter colours don't always mix properly. So there's the glitter. Now, can we make white glitter paint, or does the opaque acrylic cover over the acrylic paint? That's what we need to cover over the glitter. Okay, the white, apart from a few bits where it's obviously I've uncovered the glitter, the white opaque is completely obliterating the glitter. So you can't mix the two together. You can't mix the two together, but you could certainly paint the white on and then put the glitter over the top. So you don't want to mix them, although you can see some of the glitter coming through as it dries. But it's in the bits where the white paint is a bit thinner. So I would recommend putting the white on first and then putting the silver over, the holographic over the top. Now, let's see if we can mix. Let's see what happens if we mix the in theory, this should work fine. You should just have extra colours in your glitter. We mix the dark blue. Let's mix it with the pink, shall we? Like you guys were suggesting. got this bit of stuff stuck to my hand and it won't go away. Whoops. Yeah, that needs shaking up as well. Grab a bit of that. Okay, so yeah, you just get like dark pink glitter or blue glitter with pink bits in it. So yeah, they mix fine. In fact, waste not, want not, I like that pink. I'm going to splodge a few bits of that into there. This has got a lighter purple in it than the blue has a dark purple glitter and the pink has a light purple glitter, like a lavender colour. So yeah, I'm going to splodge a bit of pink into there. And now it's even more sparkly. Isn't that just perfect for a geode? It really does look like a geode. I'm so impressed with that. It's been a long time since I've been blown away by a paint, but wow, those glitter paints, I'm going to be playing with those a bit more. I'm going to have to find a much larger project. I had intended to use them for a Halloween project, obviously, but I kind of forgot about them and started using the other ones. But yeah, that is so pretty. All those different colours in there. It's a bit blurry, but you can see the different colours. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And what I'm going to do is grab the white. It's not white, it's holographic. And I don't want to go crazy. I'm just going to take a tiny bit and I'm going to water it down to make it thinner so that it's more spreadable. And then so instead of getting a thick layer of glitter, I'll just get a sheen with the occasional little bit of glitter, you see? Because this bit isn't as sparkly, it's just got little bits that catch the light. Like that. I love this. Yumminess, exactly. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Oh, the candle flames. Yes, we could add some gold to the candle flames, couldn't we? Oh, the gold is in the. It's in the wrong set. It's in the Christmas set. I don't want to use the Christmas ones. Let's use. I suppose we could use the iridescent, couldn't we? We could just use the white iridescent. So let's do the layering thing. Get a bit of yellow. Whoops. I'm not adding extra water to this. I'm just washing my brush and not drying it because I don't want it to be too runny, because these are quite runny anyway. Nice big dollop of whoops. Nice big dollop of whoops. Nice big dollop of that. Let's do a layer of, so I'm going to work left to right so I don't get it wet. Get my hand in the wet. So I'm going to paint in the candle flame just kind of roughly. So paint in the middle of the candle, paint in the middle of the flame, and then just kind of rough brush it outside, because obviously a flame doesn't have a specific shape. I can't believe I need more yellow paint already, that's ridiculous. I want them to have a glowy effect, you see, so by using a second layer of acrylic rather than pencil, it's just giving us a different, like we've already done the glitter over pencil, I want to do the glitter over acrylic. So, like so, like so, like so. Get the thicker part. Kind of dry brush it to get the glow. Oops. And then she puts her hand in it anyway. Now this has got a glow, but it's also in a jar, so the jar will reflect the glow as well. So I might as well put that in while I'm at it. Like that. Can be spread out a little bit more. These can be spread out a little bit more. You struggle with drawing human skulls? Get a copy of Grey's Anatomy and copy it. I actually used a reference photo off Tinternet. If you look in section 1, I actually used a reference photo. Part 1, sorry. I pulled a reference photo up on my phone, but because I didn't know what skull teeth looked like. Who does, right? They're just big square bits. Like, and I didn't want him to look cartoony. Okay. I need that to dry faster than it's drying, so heat gun. And iridescent. I'm just going to get a big splodge of it and splodge it across, like so. Oh, can you see that? Sorry, I managed to push it off the table, off camera. I'm just going to put a big splodge, and a big splodge, a big splodge with a bit of reflection, not too much, and a big splodge. Now, when you come to do your pencils, remember you probably should have... What's happened to my resolution? Oh, there we go. We probably should have done the pencil first and then added the glitter over the top, because this is going to create a barrier. You won't be able to blend pencils over it. But I'm not worried about that. I'd be able to manage that. I wanted to show you what the glitter looks like. Because it's glitter, it's exciting. Let's do another coat. A bit more in the middle. Maddie, leave your toenails alone. Little minx. And you, stop it. She's got enough problems chewing her own toenails. She doesn't need you to help. Okay, let's see how that looks. Ugh, it's easier this way. It's a bit less precise, but it's a lot easier to move the camera than... There we go. That's really pretty, I like that. That's the holographic clear. I keep calling it white, but it's holographic clear. That looks really good. Oops. And there's the pink. Now we've added the extra colours. Isn't that just phenomenal? Look at those colours. Okay, now this one is still not dry. So what I'm going to do is hit it with the heat gun. I'm doing this carefully because acrylics are a little bit flammable and I have no idea if these are going to catch fire or something ridiculous because they've got metal in them. They've got metal foil in them. So we're going to be careful with this. Not get it too hot. You only want to evaporate the water. You don't want to cremate your page. Okay, there's an interesting way of checking if it's dried. While I was heat gunning it, I could see the glitter kind of flapping in the wind, and as it dried, the glitter stopped flapping about. So it's like it's set. Well, obviously it's set because it's heated, but that's an interesting way of being able to tell. And the glaze on it is now kind of a matte finish. The glitter is still shiny, but the glaze is a matte. So you haven't got a big shiny bit on your page. That's really clever. It's like a matte medium with glitter on it. So it's dried matte, but the glitter is still shiny. How the hell have they done that? And that glitter's not coming off. So that is some damn clever paint. Now this is thicker, so this might chip off once it's dry. That did exactly the same thing and it's now gone completely flat. It was a big ball of stuff. It's still a little... Ooh, it's hot. Don't put your hand on it when it's hot. Probably shouldn't have let it get that hot actually. It almost burnt the paper. Oh, stick it in my water pot a second. That was really hot. Duh. Okay, it cools down quickly, that's great. Now don't forget, this is acrylic. It's not watercolour, it's acrylic. So what you've effectively done is sealed any water in the paper under a layer of plastic. What happens if you do that? It goes mouldy. So you need to come over to the back side of the page and make sure that the paper is dry from the other side. You can actually see the paper changing colour when you're up close to it. There's still two little damp patches. There's one there and there's one there. That's where the water from the paint has seeped through. But I'm not sealing this side yet, so that's enough to just leave it and let it dry naturally. As long as I don't close the book. But you see it seeped through to this side as well, the water, because I put loads of, or the wetness, not necessarily water. Now, this is acrylic, so it's effectively sealed under plastic. So the question, would you put a clear something over the glitter or hairspray? No, because the glitter has already got a clear something over it. It was in a clear something. You're effectively, with acrylic, you're effectively taking matte medium and mixing glitter into it. You wouldn't need to put anything over the top of that because the matte medium is a glue. So you've encased your glitter in a plastic sheet. Now that's not saying that some of it wouldn't necessarily rub off if you touch it. You know, there's always going to be the odd bit that's a bit too near the surface that might come off. But it's going to be minimal. It's going to be like 1 or 2 bits. It's not going to be like you've put a layer of glue and you've stuck the glitter on top of it. The glitter is in the glue, effectively. If you think of the acrylic gel as a glue or a medium, it's effectively already in the glue. This one may come off, but if that's the case, I'll just put some gloss medium over the top, or maybe some clear nail varnish would work, because that's what it's for. It's for protecting and longevity of this stuff. Don't my sparkly nails? Very Halloweeny. Yeah, so if this starts chipping off because it's really thick and it starts to come off when it's totally dry, I would just probably, oh well, I'm lazy, so I'd probably just put a bit of clear nail varnish over it, to be honest, just to seal it in. Add an extra layer over the top, purely because it's layer on layer on layer on layer. These bits, these will be fine. These don't need anything. That is rather cool. Okay. Let me see. Hang on a minute. I'm trying to get as many different techniques in here for you as possible in a very short amount of time, which is why we're not getting the whole page done in one go. I have metallic pencils. These are the Prismacolors. I've got the metallic silver, metallic gold and metallic copper. I have a brass one as well, which is more of a greeny brown. But I don't know where that one is. It disappeared a while ago. It's probably under the sofa or something. So this was going to be gold, and this was going to be brass, sorry. So we could do that copper, since we've got the orange. So I need a pale brown, a light brown, in kind of a warm tone, and then a dark one in a warm tone, because copper is reddish. Try using bits of deli paper over the top of the illustrations to sketch out and work out for yourself. I actually do, in one of my portraits classes, we drew a human skull, and then we added the muscles on and everything else, because I think it's Portraits 1 and Portraits 2, I think, because we did the female muscle structure and the male muscle structure. So if you're interested in learning to do that, there is a class on it. But that's basically what you do. You want to, hi Marion, you just basically want to use your same words, the same relative dimensions as you do for a face proper. So the eyes are still going to be halfway down, you know, the nose is still in the middle, and so on. And what you need to remember, the one thing that I found most helpful when I started trying to draw the human skull is to remember that the eyeballs are so much bigger than you think they are. Have a look at a sideways thing of a skull and you'll see, this is obviously not to scale and over exaggerating, but you'll get the skull like this, and he's got his teeth, and there's his nasal cavity and his eyes, eye sockets, okay? And when you see the actual picture, you'll see that the eyeball is like this. It's massive compared to the shape of the eye socket, because if you think about it, if that's the eye socket there, let's draw it vertically, that makes more sense. Forehead, eye socket, cheekbone. You only see this bit of the eye here. And if you extend that circle, look how big it is compared to the eye socket. And that is the most useful piece of information I ever got when I was trying to draw both the human eye and the human skull. Those eye sockets look massive, and you expect, oh yeah, the whole of the eye would be showing, and actually it's not. You're only seeing this little bit of the eye. When they draw eye sockets like this and you see that bit of the eye like that with the iris, you're actually only seeing that bit there. You're not seeing the fact that the actual ball is like this. It's fascinating. I couldn't look away. And then you've got, on top of that, you've got the eyelid structure. And then on top of that, you've got the muscles for the eyebrows, and you've got the frontispieds muscles. So you've got 2 layers of muscle. You've got a plate of muscle, and then you've got individual muscles on top. Same with the cheekbones. So by the time you're done, it kind of looks like this. And oh look, there's your eyebrows. And there's your top lid coming down with your eyelashes. And there's your cheek and your bottom eyelashes. And all of a sudden, you can see why you can only see that little bit of an eye by the time you've drawn it. So this becomes that. And that is honest to God, that is the most useful bit of information I've ever been given about drawing the human face in any way. It will put everything into perspective. Go and look that up, or look up in your Grey's Anatomy the section on eyeballs and muscle structure. It is unbelievable. I couldn't believe how huge the eyeballs were. Right, let's get back on. Light coming down from this way, so this is a metallic finish, so it's going to be light on the top. I'm just going to lay down a basic colour over the paint. Metallic pencils, again, like glitter paint, they show up better if you put them over a coloured pencil. So I've got my key in the middle there, so this flat surface is going to have light all over it, except for, wait for it, oh, I'm going to need to sharpen my pencil, hang on. Pencil sharpener, where have you gone? There it is. See, Faber-Castells don't break. Except for this bit, because there's a key here. So that key is standing up, so it will be casting a shadow there and there. And the key itself will be shadowed there and there. And in there. I'm just going to draw the outline just so it's easier for you to see. I wouldn't normally bother drawing an outline on a key. I do it with shading, but we're running against the clock, so I'm just... There's the shading on the key there. That will be... That's neither facing the light nor away from the light, so it's just going to be a regular kind of shadow. Okay, and then the top of it will be more it'll just be more, okay? It'll be more. It'll be more shiny. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. So, my box is shaped like that. So it's got two planes here that are nondescript. It's got a highlight. Sorry, it's got two planes here that are nondescript. It's got a highlight and then it's got a low light, assuming your light's coming from that direction. So this corner here is going to be shaded. And because I've got a lid and then a bottom section, I'm deliberately doing it in two sections. Because you're not going to get a consistent colour over both sections doing them separately. Whereas if you do it as one section, you'll get a consistent colour. Okay. Light's coming this way, so down here, we're going to have some shadow. Just a little bit, nothing spectacular. And of course, behind the tassel and underneath the tassel, I have some shadow. Just a little bit, not much. Similar principle to the ball, but in more straight lines. And I'm going to have a section here in the middle that's kind of a bit light and a bit dark. You can blend the two in together. And then we've got a lighter section across here, but not as light as the top. Okay. So what I'm going to do is some more shading on here. Where it's shaded and away from the light, because metal that is away from the light is not going to look shiny. This is not going to be so dark. Whereas this, it's just going to be a little bit kind of shaded. Like that. A little bit more of the orangey colour. And what I'm trying to do with this now is to get the mid-tone of the orangey colour to match the lid. And then I can go just a little bit darker. And notice with this, I'm colouring in a straight line. With the... I woke up, you see. I woke up, Claire. Can you not tell the difference between, like, this morning? I was like, what am I doing? Which way's up? What century are we in? Did somebody change the clocks again? I was all over the place. And then the second class, I was a bit more with it, and I was kind of explaining what I was doing. And now I've gone into teacher mode. It just happens. Because I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm running. I'm up and running, and this is more like a class now. I just can't help myself. Not easy colouring on the bit in the middle of the page. And then this is going to be the lightest section because it's away from the light, but it's not as far away from the light as this is. So it's going to be a little bit lighter, but not much. And then the same as we did with everything else, we're going to take the dark colour and blend it up from the bottom, because the dark is touching the tablecloth. It's a proximity shadow. Same as this. It's going to have a hard edge across this side. And normally I would draw it with a lighter edge on this side, but actually it's in the shadow of this candlestick, so it's going to have a dark edge on both sides. So what I'm going to do is blend this out in the middle here, so it's because there's nothing obstructing the view there. And then on this side, where there's a candle in the way, I'm going to bring the shadow up again. So like I did here, I'll bring the shadow up. Because the base of that candle is coming out and casting a shadow. And I can go quite dark down in here. And as it comes up, it will be light. So it's that effect, but going that way, because it's coming up towards the light. And then this section is going to be light, because there's more light getting to it. Now I just need to blend this up to match. Even it out. Again, got a shadow under here. Because that tassel is not just flat casting a shadow, it's rounded casting a shadow. So there will be a bit more of a shadow where the tassel is, because the tassel is bigger than the thread. And I can go back in with this and give that a little darker. So it's darker, but it's not too dark. And then same here, I can blend this up a little bit. Like so. Like I said, not easy to do on the middle of the page, but you get the idea. Now I'm just going to put in some of the corners. And of course this line across the middle, this is where the lid is. So albeit a very thin line, it's still going to be a line. It'll be darker on this side. And then on this side we've got a candle. Now that candle is going to cause that bit, which is in shadow, to have a reflection. So on that bit I'm going to use the gold to add a metallic sheen to this corner. So it's in shadow, it's still dark, it looks darker than the rest of it, but it's got a yellow light on it, so it's got a bit of a yellow glaze to it, bit of a yellow reflective surface. Okay, now the metallic is not going to show up on camera, but hopefully it did go a little bit darker and you can see what I mean. £12:43. This is my normal time. 6 till 9 is when I normally do the Saturday show, and 6 till 8 on Wednesdays. Sometimes 6 till 9, it depends how carried away I get. But yeah, this is my normal time. It was this morning that was an unusual time because I got up early so we could do the whole thing. I'm just putting a little glaze over here because this candle will be casting a little bit of a glaze over here. Not much, just a little bit. The whole box doesn't need to look metallic. Only the bits that are casting have got light cast on them. So let's do the lock there. Of course the keyhole is going to be dark. Not that we can really see the keyhole because it's in the fold of the paper. And then the top, I want to get this lovely copper colour on, because that is the highest polished shine, and that is where the best of the coppery colour is going to show. So it's got nothing casting a shadow on it other than the key that's lying on it, so we can get a nice even shiny flat colour on here. Again, probably not showing up on camera as metallic, but actually they are metallic, so you can see it when you're looking at it. It doesn't just look shiny like the wax pencils do. It actually does look coppery. It's almost like it's got very, 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 very fine mica powder in it, which, given that it's a metallic pencil, it might well do. Never thought of that. What does in metallic pencils to make them metallic? What's in metallic gel pens to make them look metallic? Mica powder, I suspect. Okay. Now, the key, it's not a different material, but I want it to look like it stands out. So I'm going to do the key like I did this in the yellow gold, just so that there's a difference between the copper and the yellow. Okay, and then I'm going back in with a nice sharp dark colour. I'm going to use a black, which is unusual. I wouldn't normally use black, but for metallics it just works out better if you use a black. Hi Harry. Harry Clary. You tempted my sharpener. Okay. Uber pointy. Oh, this isn't black, it's indigo. Oh, that's close enough. It'll have the same effect. So this, I'm just going to put back in the definition of the key. The very darkest shadows. And then I'm going to go back in with my brown and blend that out. So I've got a very, very dark colour, but it's predominantly brown because I've blended black over brown over the blue. If I'd done it the other way, it would be more blue. And then I'm just going to, actually I think I'll use my graphite because I don't want it to look like it's the same colour as this side. Where is my little pot with my graphite in it? I've been using a Palomino Blackwing. The more I think about it, the more I'm sure these are the ones that are discontinued, or they changed them or something. I don't know. Everybody swears by these pencils, and they are beautiful. Look at that point. Is that not just absolutely stunning? It's incredible, and it stayed like that for the whole of this drawing. I was really impressed. So I'm going to use my graphite pencil just to put in a very, very thin not edging, but defining line. So just on the absolute corners. Just to make it stand up off the surface. And then what I'm going to do is do the same with this, just along this line here, because that's where the lid opens. So that is much, much darker in there than like this bit would be here. This is just a contact shadow. This is going into a dark place. Ooh, crikey. That catches the light, it blinds you. Just so you know. It's going to be very, very dark under there because that's leaning over, latching over. Very, very dark in here as well. Oh, my eyes are going crazy. And I'm not kidding you. My nose, if I put my pencil on here, my nose is that far away from my paper because I can't see what I'm doing because I've lost my glasses. And over the course of the day, I've got worse and worse and worse. When I was a kid, I used to lie with my head like that on the page and draw. It screws up your perspective, I tell you. I used to write like that as well. I'm sure that's why my writing is so tiny. Because I used to write with, like, literally my head was so close to the page. My pencil was almost touching my nose. And I'm sure that's why I write so ridiculously small. Now I'm not going to draw a harsh outline on this. I'm just adding a little bit of definition to the lines. Much lighter than I put it there. Just enough for the graphite to contrast with the brown. So we can see where those, it just gives it a better shape. Okay, I'm not going to do this side because that's facing the light. I'm also not going to do this edge because that's facing the light. What I will do is, because it's metal, it's going to have a very, very, very sharp edge. It cannot be fuzzy in any way. So I'm just going to sharpen off that edge there. And then a little bit lighter across here. And don't try and just draw a straight line. It will look unnatural. If I drew a straight line on this, it wouldn't look right because, like, if I did it with a ruler, it wouldn't look right because the line isn't straight in the first place and it will jar against the rest of the drawing. So it's kind of like when you do eyeliner. You don't just go with it. You do a little bit at a time and you fill it in and then you finesse the edges. That's what I'm doing. I'm filling in to get a straight line and then you go back over to finesse the edges and just make sure they're completely sharp. And obviously this one facing away from the light is going to be a little bit sharper than the others, but not as sharp as this line here. Bring it across here. I'm coming up towards more light at this end, so I'm fading it out, but I'm still getting that nice crisp line. Or I think I'm getting a nice crisp line anyway. I hope I'm getting a nice crisp line. I actually can't see what I'm doing. I'm going cross-eyed because I'm so close to what I'm doing, I can't see it. But it's 5:2, so I'm going to be stopping soon. But there you go, you can see Can you see how that looks metallic now? Just by doing that, it's really brought it out. It looks completely different texture to this. Now this, I'm not quite happy with it. It still needs a little bit more. Now that I see it against that, it needs a little bit more to show that it's glass. It needs that glow, that glimmer. So I'm just going to get my white and a really tiny brush, because I don't want a big old fat dollop of white like you would be doing in like an eye reflection or something. What I want is, look at this brush, it's like 3 hairs. It's actually thinner than my eyebrows, which is impressive. I'm just going to get a tiny little bit of white on there. Mix it round a bit so I'm not just getting water. Okay, and just along here, I'm going to put in that reflected shadow, reflected light just along here, a little bit darker. This actually might be a little bit too thin. I might need, no, it's working. I was thinking because the water, this paint is very watery. I didn't realise it was quite this watery. I've never used acrylic that's been this thin before. It's beautiful, it's like fluid. I kind of wish I had some golden fluid acrylic to compare it to see what the consistency is like. Okay, now that is a little bit too stark. So what we do is we just run our finger over it gently, not smudging it, just run your finger over it, and the oils from your finger will take off that shine from the acrylic. Now it looks much more realistic. So up here, we've got basically the same, but it's casting a bit brighter. And there, like that. Plus we're going to have a little bit here. For kind of the off-camera light, as it were. A little bit brighter in places because light is not uniform. And keeping the circular feeling of the sphere. And again, because that's a little bit too much, this bit here is perfect. That could be the reflection of a window or something somewhere off to the side. But this bit is just a little bit too dark, so I'm going to go in that bit and smudge it out, but I'm not going to smudge out this bit. I'm going to leave that bit as a brighter highlight. Can you see now how that looks like really shiny glass and the other one looks like metallic, and yet this one looks like rock? I have 2 minutes. 2 minutes to get a little bit of grey into that bit of rock. I want a cool, what's this? A warm grey, that'll do, and use this warm brown. So I'm just going to get some of this into this rock here, just so that this rock is finished. And yeah, this is how I approach colouring pages as well. I paint the whole thing and then I'll do individual sections, one bit at a time, and build it up. Might come back and do some more of this on Wednesday, maybe. Unless I get really into it, I might finish it. When I'm not talking so much, I tend to finish things better. So blending the grey and the brown in together will give you a wider range of colours, but not a smooth blend, a patchy blend, because you want it to look like a rock. You don't want it to look smooth, although these eggs do tend to be a little bit on the smooth side. I'm just going to add a little bit of graphite in here as well, just to add some variation. and because this is a hard edge, define under there. Okay, and then I want another browny blacky colour, or a black would be a good colour to use. If you want a browny blacky colour, a black would be a good colour to use. Who would have thought? Oh, I need to empty my sharpener. Okay, nice point on it, and we'll get a little bit of blending going on in here. So we've done a medium, a light, a grey, a graphite. And I'm just coming in with the dark black. Dark black. Is there any other kind of black? Coming in with the dark black here. To just do a few bits to show striations in the rock and things like that. Little bits of contour. And then just so it doesn't look too stark, because black against brown can look a bit stark. So I'm just going to get the brown again and just blend over it again to blend all those colours together. But it's just a light layer, it's like a filter. It's not blendy, 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 like to smooth it out like this. I'm just trying to get an even tone to it. And then I'm going to get my pencil again. And because this is a sharp edge, this is against the light, so it won't be as harsh. But coming down here, we'll get a harsh edge. And then down here, this will be absolutely crisp because it's shadow. So same principle as before. Oh, I'm going cross-eyed. And now my eye's starting to twitch, so it's definitely time to stop. I've got to go and find my glasses. So a little bit darker down here, gradually fading out. And then this doesn't need to be pristine. I'm not drawing an edge, I'm just filling in the bits where it doesn't quite go up to the edge, if that makes sense. So there you go. That's the bits we've done. It takes a while. I don't colour fast because I enjoy the process. If you want to colour fast, that's fine. I like to enjoy the process and just sit back and play with it. But I'll probably do some more of this maybe later. If I find my glasses, I'll do some more tonight, and I might film it so that you can see what I'm doing. Because then I'll be able to film it close up as well. Because obviously my proper camera is HD. Well, this camera is HD, but it's not streaming in HD very well, and it doesn't autofocus, whereas my other camera does, and I can zoom in and everything. So there's the box. Oops. The globe and the geode. I'm so pleased with that geode. Look how amazing it's come out. And obviously the flames on the candles, and the jars. Sorry, I hope I'm not making you seasick. It's kind of hard to tell what I'm doing when I've got a delay on it. So there you go. I'm going to go and try and find my glasses and do some more of this now before I go and do my Samhain stuff. So thanks for joining me, especially those of you who are diehards and have been here since crack of dawn this morning with me. And I hope it's been useful, fun, educational, whatever. Top tip, when you have a lot of pencils out, like I do, I've got like 200 pencils here. If you're doing a page like this and you know you're going to want to reuse some of those colours, like these purples I'll want to reuse over here, and the greys I'll want to bring in other places, put those pencils that you're using somewhere where they're easy to access, rather than putting them back with the main population, because you'll have to go and find those colours again and it'll get very frustrating. Okay, thanks for joining me. I will post a picture of this as it is currently on the Facebook page, and hopefully get a couple of good close-ups of these. Hopefully it'll photograph okay. It might not because it's waxy, but it should photograph okay, and you'll be able to see the contrast between, or more of the contrast that I'm looking at that you can't necessarily see on camera. Alright, thanks very much. Blessed be, happy Halloween. Don't eat all the candy. Enjoy your scary movie night. Me and Maddie are going to watch Hocus Pocus before we do the serious stuff. Thanks guys, see you again on Wednesday.